Our speaker, guest note today, is Lady Princess Bright-Oliafa. Princess Bright is a chartered accountant, a public speaker and community leader recognized for her work in leadership, representation and social impact. One of London's youngest ever mayors, she has become a powerful advocate for youth empowerment, inclusive leadership, and community transformation. With a professional background in accountancy, governance, and strategic oversight, Princess brings financial credibility together with a strong public voice that resonates across sectors. Her work focuses on breaking barriers. Thank you so much. Her work focuses on breaking barriers, elevating underrepresented communities, and inspiring people to lead with purpose, confidence, and authenticity. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers, members of the Limitless Without Borders community, can I ask you to put your hands together and give a very rousing welcome to Princess Bright-Oliafa as she comes.
Hello. Amazing. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for the warm welcome. And good afternoon, everyone. It's truly a huge privilege to be here with you all this afternoon. I want to say a huge thank you to Ruki and her team at RKY Careers for putting on this amazing event this afternoon. I think it's fascinating to know that we still have trailblazers in our community who are bringing together like-minded people in a space, in a room, to make sure that we're charged up and ready for the future. So those of you who haven't met me yet or haven't had the pleasure of meeting me yet, as has been highlighted, my name is Princess Bright-Oliafa. And my professional journey has spanned across investment banking when I came out of university, and then I transitioned into technology 4 years ago. But throughout my whole journey, it has been deeply rooted and integrated in public service. I was elected as the youngest ever councillor, aged 22, back in 2018. And most recently, I had the huge honour and privilege of serving as the first citizen of the London Borough of Barking and Dagenham as the youngest ever elected mayor. And when I reflect on my journey into public service and a lot of my time through my professional career, one key thing sticks out to me, and that's the theme that we are discussing today. When RKY Careers reached out to me and said that the theme for this conference is Leading Beyond Limits, Representation and Young Leadership, I thought, what an amazing theme for me to talk about. And I found myself reflecting on a few things, but the key thing that I reflected on when I was given this keynote opportunity was, number one, what is it that we see as limits to our success? What is it that we see as limits to us progressing into the new realm of our success? And often a time, as individuals, we always see limits as external barriers, or even as people who are standing in the way of our progress. But in my experience, I believe that the most significant limits in our own life are the assumptions that we inherit about who gets to lead, whose voices matter, and what leadership is supposed to look like. Now, a lot of the time, I believe that as individuals, we limit ourselves, thinking that we're not educated enough. We don't have a British accent. We don't have a British citizen. We didn't graduate with a first-class honours. We're not old enough. We're not a specific demographic. These are misconceptions that I believe that we all need to eradicate today. If I was a person who had a limit to myself, thinking I'm too young to lead, I don't look like a typical politician, I would not be holding that seat of office because I would be limiting myself. We are living in a world whereby change is happening on a daily basis. If we look at organizations, they are navigating economic uncertainty. If we look at the markets, they are navigating conflicts all over the world. We see what's happening in the US, Iran, Israel, Lebanon. There's so much economic uncertainty. We look at technological disruption, the advancement of AI, how AI is taking over the world practically. We look around and see how societal expectations are changing, the leadership models that we believe are correct. So too often, leadership is associated with hierarchy. How long have you been in a position for? How long did you graduate? How long have you? And that should not be the case. It's not about tenure. It's not about familiarity. For me, I believe that we need to be asking the questions, who is best suited to fit the room? Who is best suited to fit the room? I had to emphasize that. So I suggest that we should be asking these questions when we think about leadership. Number one, whose talent remains untapped? If we look at the corporate sector, I spoke about the fact that I started investment banking, then I transitioned to tech. If we look at the corporate sector, we see that there are a lot of organizations who realizing that they haven't tapped into the ethnic minority sector. And that is why they're pulling out internship schemes, 100 black interns, because they understand that they need diversity. Diversity of color, diversity of thought, diversity of race is very, very important. Another question that we should be asking is, what possibilities are we overlooking because we've become too comfortable with the way things are? Sometimes as individuals, we feel very comfortable in the spaces that we are. We don't like to challenge the status quo. I want those things to change. A famous management thinker, Peter Drucker, he once said this, and it stuck with me for the whole time that I've been in public service. The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, it is acting with yesterday's logic. Now that observation feels particularly relevant today because yesterday's logic is often dictated by today. How we look, how we perceive things, and I think that also should be challenged. So I believe that representation matters, and I've said this on numerous occasions. It's very important for us to make sure that we are a diverse environment. And not because it's fashionable to say representation matters, but because it truly is important. Throughout my journey in public service, I've often found that I have always been the youngest person in the rooms that I've walked into. And those experiences have taught me one key thing. Representation is not about being the first person to occupy a particular space. It is about ensuring that you are not the last person. So I think about my specific situation now. I've highlighted the fact that I serve as the mayor of Barking and Dagenham. I've also been a councillor since 2018. In the most recent local elections, I lost my seat, so I'm no longer a politician. I've been a Labour Party councillor. I lost my seat to the Reform Party. Sad, yes. But one thing that keeps me going every single day when I think back about that local election result that took place 2 months ago is the fact that there are so many other young people who have mentored across UK who won seats. So for me, it wasn't about holding up a position as being the youngest ever elected councillor in the UK. It's about the fact that I can say, since being a councillor, XYZ have now got into politics. That for me is very, very important. So if there are 5 practical steps that I want us to all start thinking about when we think about leadership, this is what they are. Number 1, we need to make sure that we become intentional about seeking perspectives that are different from our own. One of the greatest risks in leadership is intellectual comfort. The tendency to surround yourselves with people who think the same as you, dress the same as you, look the same as you, act the same as you. That is not going to make you move forward. Those experiences will only pull you back because you're not able to challenge, to question, to dig deeper. So one thing I would say is make sure that you are always surrounding yourself with individuals who have different perspectives to you. Number 2, Commit yourself to creating opportunities for others. Every time I look around different leaders that I've met across my journey in politics, they've always understood the importance of bringing people up with them. There's no point in you being someone who does a journey by yourself. If you're not impacting others, encouraging others, then you're walking a journey on your own, and that doesn't get you far in life. Number 3, learn to be comfortable with discomfort. And I know some people may be thinking, how does that even make sense? But growth rarely happens within the boundaries of familiarity. The moments that shape us the most profoundly begin with uncertainty. I'm now in a phase in my life where I call it the uncertainty phase. I've been in politics for 8 years. I've been in public sector. I've been in private sector. I resigned from my corporate job. I've lost my seat in local elections. I'm in a phase of uncertainty, but it's a great phase for me because it's enabling me to think outside of the box, to think, okay, how am I going to pivot? What am I going to do next? If I still won that seat in May 2018, then I'll just be carrying on as a normal councillor and same old. I wouldn't be thinking differently. I wouldn't be trying to think, okay, what next? How can I challenge myself? I'm now 30. What do I want to accomplish before I'm 40? So what I want to say to you is make sure that you become comfortable with discomfort. And I say this because it's what I'm going through right now, and it hasn't been easy. Don't get me wrong. When I lost my seat in May this year, I was upset. It took me at least a few weeks to leave my house. I was home, upset, depressed. People who know me had to call my phone and say, don't worry, princess, and comforted me. But now I've realized the importance of this specific point. Number 4, never stop reinventing yourself. One of the most valuable lessons that I have learned over the years is that our identity should never become attached to a specific title. So for me, yes, I was the mayor for 1 year. But that's why anytime anyone's calling me to speak, I try and put that mayor to the side because that is not my identity. Yes, I was the mayor and I love the role, but it should not be what defines me for the next decade of my life. And number 5, I would say expand your definition of leadership because leadership is not synonymous with position or authority. You can be someone who is in an organization holding the lowest rank but can still exert influence. When I transitioned from investment banking to tech, I moved from Deutsche Bank to a senior strategy and operations manager at Uber. I joined Uber and I realized that I was one of the only black women in the organization. I wasn't the highest person. I wasn't an MD. I wasn't a general manager. But I took it upon myself to start an employee resource group and start leading people and bring them into the organization. I did not have a high rank, but I was able to carve a niche for myself to be able to lead. So that's why I say that we should expand our definition of leadership because some of the most influential leaders I have encountered, they had no titles. It's not about the titles, but they were still able to shape culture, shape their environment, and transform the lives of people around them. As I look around the room today, what fascinates me is the fact that I've encountered and spoke to so many individuals who have decades of experience, insights, influence, and I see people who have also shaped organizations. They have led teams. They've made significant contributions to society. But the question I would leave with you is, how will this influence be used in the years ahead? Are we going to simply just have these positions and titles for our own self, or are we thinking of the generations to come? Because ultimately, leading beyond limits is not about our own personal success. Yes, I was the mayor, but during my term as mayor, I raised funds for charity. I raised over £40,000 for charities because I thought it was about making sure that I can have that impact felt. Even when I was in the bathroom today, the lady in the red, I stumbled across her and she said, you were the mayor of Barking and Dagenham. And I was like, yes, ex-mayor. And she was like, no worries, your impact was felt. That's what puts a smile on my face. This is a resident that I was the mayor of her borough. So for her to say this to me makes me realize that I must have done a good job, right? So what I'm saying to you, thank you, is making sure that it's not about thinking about the accolades. Yes, accolades are good, but let's make sure that when we step into rooms, when we step into organizations, when we step into spaces of influence, we are leaving those places much more better than when we came in. I say this all the time, and I brag about the fact that during my mayoral term, I was able to host their majesties in Barking and Dagenham. I mean, the king and queen came down to Barking and Dagenham. That for me is the highest level of honor and something that's on the map for this borough for the rest of eternity. So as we look forward to the rest of this conference, but also as we leave, I want us to be charged up to remember that leadership is not just about being an MD in an organization, being the most senior pastor in a church, being the most senior politician in the UK. I mean, of course, we would love to be the Prime Minister one day, but it's about making sure that you are impacting others around you. It's about making sure that you are widening the horizon of others around you. And if we can do that, then we will not simply just lead successfully, we will definitely lead meaningfully. Thank you so much for having me.